Hey everyone, it's Adam and welcome back to the channel. So in my last video, we covered getting you up and running with your Pwnagotchi with a very bare bones basic configuration file. The whole video was designed to get you up and going. This video will cover a little more stuff in depth. We're going to look at access control, so we're going to be changing some passwords for the default user and the root user. We're going to set this up so you'll be able to FTP into your device using stuff like FileZilla. And we're also going to explore some plugins that have been working for me. Now, as you can see, my device has kicked 0 stations, made 0 no friends, and got 0 handshakes. I've gone ahead and reset my device, and I'm using the exact configuration file that I had pasted in my last video's description. So everything is basically picking up where we left off from the last video. So with that said, go ahead and plug in your device to your computer and then make sure it's also plugged into the proper data port and that you are using a data supported transfer cable. With that, let's go ahead and SSH into our device. So you're going to go ahead and open up a command prompt. And I'm going to do SSH pi at 10.0.0.2. And then my password is going to be raspberry. And yours will be 2 if you're still using the default configuration. And if we look down here, we can see SSH is enabled and the default password for the Pi user has not been changed. This is a security risk. Please log in as the Pi user and type password to set a new password. Well, we're already logged in as a Pi user, but if you try and follow this as is, it won't work properly. At least it didn't for me. So I'm going to show you what did work for me. So I'm going to do sudo, and then we're going to do su. From here, I'm going to do passwd, the user I want, and then I'm going to hit enter. I'm going to go ahead and enter the password I want. And we see password updated successfully. So I want to go ahead and do the same for the root user because I want to set a password so I can FTP to this device later. So I'm going to do passwd root and same thing. Now what I'm going to do is to make sure these settings held, I'm going to go ahead and do systemctl restart Pwnagotchi. Now I will wait for the device to reboot and then we'll pick the video back up from there. Okay, since the device has rebooted, I'm going to go ahead and exit out of here and here. I want to close the connection. And then I want to test that password. So I'm going to just press the up arrow key since it's already in there. And then if I try and use Raspberry, it should be denied. And if I try and use my new password, we have access and that warning is gone. So the next thing I want to do is I want to be able to FTP to my device as a root user. Now by default, FTP root login is disabled. So to enable that, we need to change a different configuration file. And that file lives in, we're going to do cd/etc ssh/. Now if we do an ls, there is a big difference here. We are going to modify the sshd_config file. This file right here is the one we are going to modify. Do not modify this file. This is not what we're working with. It's this one right here. So we're going to do sudo nano sshd_config. And again, you can tab complete. So if I type con and then hit tab, you'll see FIG fills itself in. Go ahead and enter. And we don't need to go too far down for this. We are looking for this right here. Permit root login, prohibit password. We're going to change this to yes. And as you see, I got rid of this little hashtag or pound sign. What these do is it tells the program to ignore these unless the pound sign is removed. So this is now active. We're going to hit Control X, press Y to save to the modified buffer, and then go ahead and hit enter. We don't need to make any more changes from here for the time being. So now I'm going to use a program. I'm going to use FileZilla. It's a free program. I'll link it in the description below. But I'm going to go ahead and pull up FileZilla. And then I'm going to sftp ://10.0.0.2. At this point, you should know the address. Type root for the user, the password I set, and then enter. And now I'm logged in as the root user. So I can transfer files back and forth as the root user from FTP. So we're not going to do anything from here for the time being. Okay, so that pretty much covers the access control part. The next section is we're going to work on bringing the device online. Right now, if you try and type ping.google.com from your shell, you're probably not able to make a connection online. So in this next section, I'm going to cover what worked for me to bring it online. Okay, so in this section, we're going to look at bringing your Pwnagotchi online. This will be important for updating plugins, uploading handshakes, and a few other things. So go ahead and exit out of your connection. Just type exit, and then you want to see connection to your device has been closed. And then what we need to do is create a PowerShell file. Now, there is a script already done by EvilSocket. I will link this in the description below, but it is pretty simple to do. This will allow us to easily share our internet connection. Now, this is what worked for me. This is what worked with my device and this current configuration that I've been using. So with this, go ahead and hit Control A, Control C, open a notepad, hit Control V as in Victor, and then we're going to do File, Save As, name it whatever you want to call it. So I'm going to call this ShareNet. Now, I've already created this file, but we'll say ShareNet.ps1. Make sure Save As type is switched to all files. And then we can see I have a ShareNet right here. And then you can see now it's a PowerShell script by this little icon right here. So go ahead and click Save and save that. Once you're done with that, go ahead to your search, type PowerShell, right-click on it, run as administrator. Make sure it says select administrator. You want to be in the administrator mode. And then you want to navigate to where that PowerShell script is. So mine's going to be back to the users, downloads. Now, before you run that script, you need to run this command. It's going to be PowerShell space dash execution policy space bypass file and so on. You can run it as is. I will put these in the description below, so it's just cut and copy. Again, I've already ran this, so I'm not going to run it again. Now, the script will tell you you have to restart Windows. I ignored this and was still able to bring my device online. If you want to restart, that's up to you. After you run that command, you'll want to run the next command. That's going to be this. And after you run this command, you'll be prompted with some questions. So the first question is, please select a main Ethernet adapter with internet access that will be used for internet sharing. This is your primary adapter, the one you used before you even hooked up your device. And then the next question is going to be, please select your USB Ethernet /RNDIS gadget adapter. That's going to be your Pwnagotchi. And once you've gone ahead and ran that, it should say enabled internet connection sharing, and then take you back to the command prompt. So again, I've already ran this. So let's go ahead and SSH back in. Now you should be able to type ping.google.com and get replies from the outside. And because this is Linux, it will continue to ping like this until you tell it to stop. And to stop this, you're going to hit Control-C. And now your device is able to upload files and update and upgrade plugins, which we'll explore next. Okay, if you've made it this far, congratulations. It is time to move into the more advanced stuff. We're going to change the configuration files, and we're going to add some plugins to our device. So let's go ahead and run a sudo apt-get update. And we will probably get some errors as we run this. Then I'm going to go ahead and just ignore this and then do sudo apt-get upgrade. Go ahead and Y for yes. Okay, that took a while, so let's go ahead and do sudo systemctl restart Pwnagotchi. And we'll go ahead and let that reboot. All right, the device is back online, so this time let's go ahead and move over to the configuration file. So we're going to cd/etc Pwnagotchi, and let's go ahead and ls. So the first thing we need to do is we need to create a backup file of our current config.toml file, and that's pretty easy to do. We're going to do sudo mv config.toml, and we're going to go config to bak. And what this does is it renames the config.toml to config.back. We ls, we can see it's config.back now. Now we're going to move the default.toml to our new config. So we're going to do sudo cp default toml, and we're going to call it config.toml. ls again, and we have a config.toml. Now we're going to go sudo nano config.toml. And as you can see, this is a lot more involved than the original config file that we started with. This is the original toml file. So as before, let's change the main name. I'm going to switch mine to v1. What I like to do is every time I have to edit the config file, I'll switch this to v1, v2, v3, and so on, so I know that the config file did update. The other thing I want to do is I want to add another custom repo here. This is the default one that comes with it, but I want to add the contributor one. So I'm going to go here, and then I want to copy the link address. I will throw this in the description box below. Let's see. Let's just put that there so it's nice and neat. Separate that. We're going to update our whitelist again. You can delete these lines one by holding down Control and the letter K. Let's add mine back in. I'm going to put that. I'm going to change this to false because I don't want mine enabled currently. You can leave yours true if you want. And then we are going to walk down through here. There's a few settings I want to go through, and we'll have to come back to this as well. And as you can see, a lot of this stuff is a lot of information that you don't really need to change just yet. And this right here, you see .enabled equals false. That means the plugin is there, but it is turned off. So I'm going to scroll more down to the bottom here. I'm going to turn this off. Now, what I suggest is go through these one by one, turn things on, and see if your device still works. If it doesn't, turn it back off. I've had hit or miss with some of these, so that's why I'm making that suggestion. And here's our AI parameters. We're going to leave those alone. We're going to leave this alone. And then UI web enabled is true. You will see this 0000. We're going to leave that alone. There's no need to change that. You do want to change your username and password here. And then we can leave the rest alone. And then we're going to switch this from 2 to 3. And I believe that is all we need to change currently. Yes. Okay, go ahead and hit Control X, Y for yes, and hit Enter. And then we want to go ahead and restart again. So sudo systemctl restart Pwnagotchi. Okay, it looks like the device is rebooted. So now we're going to start working with the plugins. So I'm going to go ahead and save myself some trouble. I'm going to do sudo su. And then I am going to do Pwnagotchi plugins list. Stuff after close string. Did I not close the string? I did not. I forgot, when you create a new line, you need a comma there, I believe. Let's try this again. There we go. Okay, so let's go ahead and now we're going to do update. This should pull in the new repo, which we see right there. Well, that's the master, and then there's the new repo. Now we're going to do upgrade. And then let's run list again. Okay, it doesn't look like much change there, so that may be an unnecessary step, but I'm going to leave it in just in case for future versions. Okay, now that we have a list of plugins, let's go ahead and get these installed. So I'm going to install the ones that were working for me. So I'm going to start with aircrack only. What that does is it will keep the capture files that have useful information and toss the empty ones or the useless ones. And we can install that by doing Pwnagotchi plugins install aircrack only. And then I'm going to press up and I'm going to switch this to enable. Now, if we need to make any edits, you can also switch this to edit. Okay, as you can see, the plugin is already enabled. Now, this is not Nano, this is Vim, and it can be a pain for new users. How you get out of Vim is :QA, and that's how you quit out of that program. Let's go ahead and install display password. And I'm not going to enable this on purpose because there's another thing I want to show you. So I'm going to hold off enabling the rest of these. So we'll do handshakes DL. Hashy. And quick dick. So we enabled aircrack only, and then we just installed these. So if we go back to Pwnagotchi plugins list, so we can see the ones we installed are no longer on this list. Now let's go ahead and launch the web interface. And to get to that, it's just going to be the address, the colon, port 8080. And I'm going to go ahead and launch a new one as this one may be staled. And then we're going to come over here to the far right. And go ahead and turn on WebCFG, WPASec, and session stats if it's not already enabled. Let's go ahead and restart. And let's see if that updated this. And now, as you can see, our new plugins are there. There's aircrack only, hashy, handshakes. So aircrack only should be enabled. We're going to turn on display password, handshakes DL, hashy, quick dick. And those are the only ones I'm going to turn on currently. So now you can see it says confirms PCAP contains handshake, PMKID, or deletes it. A plugin used to display recently cracked passwords. This lets you download handshake captures from the web UI. This very long prompt here is basically trying to convert the PCAPs to a crackable format if successful. I'm not going to read the rest of that. Quick Dictionary runs a quick dictionary scan against captured handshakes. WebCFG allows a user to make runtime changes. If we click in here, we can see we can do changes to the config file directly from here now. And then once all done, save and restart. And then WPASec automatically uploads handshakes to the WPASec website. Okay, so we have some plugins enabled. We have some plugins installed. Now, I want to go ahead and put this out there. I am not the creator of any of these plugins, nor am I tech support for any of these plugins. Some require other plugins to work, and some require extra configurations. I will do my best to explain and go through the plugins I managed to get working, but it will be up to you to do your own research. And if you manage to get a plugin working, please share with the community. Let people know what you ran into and how you resolved the issue. So if we take a look, aircrack only requires aircrack ng to be installed. You can install aircrack ng just by doing sudo apt get install aircrack ng, and then hit enter, And if you get a prompt, hit Y for yes. As you can see, I've already ran it, so there's no need to do that again for myself. Auto update doesn't require us to be involved in anything. Display password requires the WPA-sec plugin to be running. So with the WPA-sec plugin running, right-click on it, go to Open Link in New Tab. From here, you want to go to Get Key, and this is entirely free. Enter your email address, click I'm not a robot, Get Private Key. Once you get that key, place it up in here and hit Enter. What that will do is it'll give you a private key that will let you upload your captured handshakes. And if we go to, say, nets, so these are the last 20 submitted by random people. It looks like it managed to find a password for this one. Now, when you have your key active, you'll see My Nets up here instead, and you'll be able to see your own private captured handshakes. What you want to do next is take that key. We need to go back to the config file. And you want to place that key right here. Your key goes here. Make sure this is set to true. Control X, Y, enter. And WPA-sec will now be active. Handshakes DL, nothing's really required for that. Once you've captured some handshakes, you can click on this link, and then you will see your captured handshakes here, and then to download them locally, you're just going to click on the little caret arrow. Not much more is involved there. Hashi doesn't require your involvement, really. You can read the whole prompt. Quick dictionary. Again, this runs a quick dictionary scan against captured handshakes. What you can do is you can create a directory that it tells it to go to. So you're going to do sudo mkdir opt wordlist. And I already have that. And this is where you will put your own word lists. And if you don't have any, you can go to weakpass.com. And I recommend something, maybe a small list or something. You can download word lists from here and just drop them in that directory. I typically just send mine online to WPA-sec, but this is up to you. This is optional. Session stats does not require any involvement. WebCFG does not require any involvement. These are the plugins that I managed to get working. You can explore deeper. Again, I would go through, turn things on, turn things off, do it one at a time, see what works, see what doesn't work, and then go from there. And to make things easy, I will just include this config.toml that you'll just have to edit yourself a little bit in a paste bin so you can cut and copy. And I believe that is it. I have done my best to describe everything. I have done my best to get as much information I can. I know this video is extremely long, but hopefully this has helped in some form or manner. If so, please do me a favor. Please like, subscribe, comment. Let's feed the algorithm. Share the video if you think it'll help people. And I will not be making any more videos the rest of this year, but I do have plans for a larger project starting next year. So with that said, thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for being here. The support just this last few days from this last few videos have been wild, and I appreciate it so much. I hope you all have a great New Year's, and I will see you in 2024. With that, I'm out.